What's going on, guys? It's me, Acute, it's 64. I just want to share something with you real quick. Something I went through back in May of this year, actually. Some people know about it in my Discord server, because I posted a few pictures and everything like that. I was diagnosed with acute pancreatitis, and I'm telling you now, that was one of the worst things I've ever been through. It was painful as fuck. It was hell. I mean, literally hell. I'll share my story about it. Now, I did plan to do this video, actually, when I left hospital back in June, because it was the end of May going into June, when I was diagnosed with acute pancreatitis, and then I kind of didn't ever make that said video. Anyway, I'm going to make that video now, but, as I said, it was horrible. I mean, all I'm going to say here is that it was a pain that, it was like an upper abdominal pain that would not stop no matter what. You expect pain, like abdominal pain, to come and go. This remained forever. This did not go. I was put on IV fluids and everything like that. I had to be on fucking morphine at the end of this shit. And after a few doses of that finally kind of got rid of it. So I'm going to tell the story now. So the day began, I had a doctor's appointment, and I was feeling really unwell, really unwell. It started with, nausea, extreme, stomach pain and nausea. So I went to obviously I went to my appointment and stuff, and I was being a bit sick at the appointment, which, obviously the doctor instructed me to go to A&E. I was like, no, I'll just go home and rest it off. So I tried to do that. I laid in bed when I got home, and I got really bad abdominal pain. I mean, bad abdominal pain. I'm talking the one I was just talking about before. And obviously I was like, yeah, this is really bad, obviously. And I was throwing up as well. No, it's a bit, it's not really nice hearing, someone's throwing up and all that, but I was being sick, obviously. And I had really bad pain. I was like, yeah, something's wrong. So I live with my mother, so obviously she called an ambulance. Now, the ambulance took about 5 hours to arrive. I'm not kidding. I was in that pain for 5 hours. They instructed me to, take aspirin. Don't take it with water. Just swallow it our ways. I was like, yeah, no chance I'm doing that. So I did take it with water. They was instructing me not to drink water. Obviously, they didn't really know what was going on at this point, so I was like, all right, well, we'll take it with water or something. I'll take it with water, because obviously I'm not going to just swallow it. I feel sick already. I don't want to have that taste in my mouth. So I did that. Didn't go away, the pain. Didn't do anything. So I kind of just, my mum sat with me. I was suffering. I was going, ugh. I was groaning in pain because the pain was so bad. And she then, eventually, after hours of that, nothing really else happened. She was instructing to stay with me and everything. Don't leave him alone, whatever you do, don't leave him alone. So she was instructed to stay with me. So she did. And pain was just getting worse and worse. There was no relief. Nothing I could do would relieve it. No position I could sit in would relieve it. Being sick wouldn't relieve it, even though it felt, to me, all I felt like doing was putting my finger to the back of my throat and being sick. Because I felt like that would relieve it. Didn't. Nothing would work. I couldn't do anything. I was just sat there in agony. And nothing would work. I could not concentrate on anything at all. And I was just in so much pain. And my mum was like, yeah, this is bad. And I was like, oh, yeah, no shit. And the ambulance eventually arrived. And I got into the back of it. And I was taken to hospital. And I thought, I don't want to be sat in A&E, the emergency room. I don't want to be sat in there for hours. I don't know what hospitals in the UK are like. NHS is a bit overrun and all that. I was like, yeah, I don't want to be sat in there for hours and hours. So they accepted me or something like that. And I was taken up to a ward. And I was put on the ward. I don't know what ward it was now. But I was put on the ward. I was laying there in that pain still. Nurses was doing everything they could. But the thing is, I couldn't concentrate because of this unbearable fucking pain that I was in. And it wouldn't stop. There was nothing I could do. I couldn't do anything. No position I could lay in would work. Nothing like that would work. And it was just extremely horrible. It's one of the worst things I've ever been through in my life. So my mum stayed with me for a little bit through the visiting hours, and obviously she had to leave around 7 o'clock at night because visiting hours ended there. I was assured her I was going to be fine, you know. Nurses were doing everything they can. Then I got hooked onto IV fluids, which would get rid of the pancreatitis, essentially. So, obviously, they had to work their course, and I was put onto IV fluids for painkillers as well. So I was on these things to get rid of the pancreatitis. Obviously, it's caused by inflammation of the pancreas, which is an organ. So that's what was causing all this. So I was in absolute agony the first day. Like, the first night was absolutely horrendously bad. Like, when it got to night time and they turned the lights off in the hospital, this is when shit kicked in. Like, I didn't realise what was going on with me at this point. I was just there hooked on IV fluids, thinking I might die. I know, I knew, sort of, I knew I wouldn't, but I was hooked onto that. And I was in that much pain, thinking, you know, is there something drastically wrong here? Because why am I in this pain? And, you know, it came to a point where none of the painkillers for IV fluids were working. Like, they weren't doing anything. They gave me codeine, they gave me the strong stuff. Nothing was working. It got to a point where they had to give me morphine. They was really resilient about giving me morphine, because obviously it's not really a great combination with pancreatitis, but they had to give me that because that was the only thing that might work, and even that didn't work. It took, like, on that first night, I was just sat on the end of my bed thinking, is this forever? Is this pain forever? Because at this point, it was going on 24 hours, and this was not stopping. There was nothing. I thought there was something drastic wrong with my stomach. And it got to a point where it was nearly in the 24-hour mark. I don't know if everyone was asleep, but I certainly wasn't. I was in the ward, and I was thinking to myself, like, is this forever? Am I going to be in this pain forever? Is this it? Because it was going on the 24-hour mark, no relief, nothing worked. I couldn't do anything. I didn't catch an ounce of sleep, and it was just horrible. And then it got to about 6 a.m. the next morning, and the morphine started to kick in. I was absolutely shattered, tired, and yeah, I spent most of the previous night trying to make myself sick because it felt like that was the only relief, and it was absolutely awful. I don't wish it upon anybody. It was awful, and, you know, being in that situation where you feel like making yourself ill. At first I thought it was worse than it, but it felt like at the time it'd make it better. It was just absolutely fucking horrible, and I don't wish it upon anybody, really. It was one of the worst things I've ever been through. And yeah, luckily I'm fine now, but, you know, it was just horrible. It was really bad. So that was my acute pancreatitis story. The rest of the time I was in there for about a week. The rest of the time I was in there, I was sort of out of it. I was out of it on the morphine. The morphine was working, and then I went for a scan, and then confirmed acute pancreatitis. I was in there for one more day, and then after that, I was released, and then that's the end of that. But wow, the fact that shit came on. I was fine. If you look on my channel, the video called The Grand Modern Warfare 3 Moments, it was actually the day after that when I started getting. The day after I uploaded that is when this all happened. So it was just freaking horrible. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. It was horrible. It was just agonizingly painful. And, yeah. And it was caused by drinking. That's what caused it. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm going to shoot off here. That was my acute pancreatitis story. If you've sticked around this long to listen to this, thank you very much. If you've got similar stories, feel free to share them in the comments or join my Discord server in the description. And I will catch you guys soon. Peace out.